everybody to What's Up for Your Children. I'm going to start in the heart. So let's just close our eyes for a moment. And let's start breathing right into the center of the heart. And we're going to exhale out from the heart. I don't know if some of you might have been on the monthly energy call yesterday, but this breathing into the heart space has really new significance after that session yesterday. So as we breathe into the heart, I really want you to touch into that source light that you actually are. So whether you see that as a light or feel it as a stillness or experience it as a vastness, you just want to breathe right into that. And then you're going to exhale that energy out 360 degrees around you. And this time we're going to breathe right back into this space. But as we exhale out, we're going to exhale that stillness, that vastness, the light that we actually are, the love that we are. We're going to exhale it back out through all of our inner children, all of those inner aspects of us. Breathing it in and exhaling it back out. And now we're going to do the same thing, but this time when we breathe out, we're going to breathe it out to all of our physical children. Right into the core, the light, the stillness, the vastness that you are. And exhaling that out to your physical children. And then one more time here, and this time when we exhale, we're going to exhale this energy out to all the children on this planet, internal or external. So a nice deep inhale into the center of that heart space. And really feel it. Feel the vastness of your own being. Feel the light of your own source, the source within you. And then exhale that out like a wave, 360 degrees out to all of the children on this planet. Yeah, beautiful. Just a nice little reminder of who they all are at the core of their being, who everyone is at the core of their being. Beautiful. All right, and when you're ready, nice. When you're ready, we'll just come on back. Yeah. This is no joke at this stage of the game, and as far as our capacity to support and wake up and purify energy, both for the children within us and the children outside of us. It's a very literal shift in our energetic focus that's been going on just within the last 48 hours or so. So this is a fairly new, it's always been an opportunity, but it's not quite been an opportunity in mass like it has been within the last 48 hours. So we can really use that to our benefit. We can use that to support, to breathe into that vastness and say some inner child aspect of us is challenged, scared, nervous, anxious, fearful. go into that still place first and exhale that energy out through. Let that energy meet that child aspect, right? We can also do it physically for our physical children before we jump into fixing or changing or trying to regulate somehow. Before we do that, let's go into the vastness of our own being and let's have the vastness of our own being meet that experience for that child. You'll notice that it'll just take the edge off, and then we can work with whatever's there to work with. Yeah. So first from the inside out. Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions, Sharon?
We do.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm going to read this one directly,
Okay.
and it'll kind of, yeah, I'll just read it. So it says, I have been on the monthly energetics for over a year. Super helpful. My 18-year-old daughter has Down syndrome, and we worked with healers from infancy. Normal IQ, brilliant writer, very connected to God and angels. My middle daughter, 22, just got diagnosed with Graves' disease. Classic perfectionist, super sensitive, saw angels until 10 to 12 years old, and then shut it all down. I think timing of Graves is her rebirth and the invitation to healing. Her question is which of your offerings sound like it would be appropriate for her and probably helping her Down syndrome as well.
Right. So which of the sessions which of the experiences would be appropriate for her daughter, not for the person asking, is that correct?
Correct. And for her 22-year-old daughter, the one with Graves' disease.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I would definitely suggest private sessions, at least a private session first, because no matter where the person is starting from, no matter, I see everybody as having amazing gifts, and we all have challenges too, right? And we're all unique in the way our challenges and our gifts present in the world. So I really would start with a private session. And again, especially for your 22-year-old who might not be quite ready to wake back up to her gifts and her skills and that kind of thing, it really has to be something that she wants to do, right? Something that she wants to do instead of something that mom wants her to do. And what I will say is, you can, however, do what we were just suggesting and breathing into your own coherence, your own heart space, and exhaling that energy out to her, right? It just gives her the invitation to open back up to maybe some of the things that could be really helpful to her right now. But we just don't want to push her to show up somewhere where she's not ready to show up for, because then she won't tell me very much anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so this one, we can generalize it, but my daughter was forced to have a PCR test. I'm very angry, upset, frustrated, and worried. She wants to know if there's nanoparticles from this test, and also her daughter's weight is completely out of control from being locked in a group home for months, and she's also developed a bad breast infection on Christmas. So.
Yep, yep. So let me look at the test first. And again, please understand, I'll say different things in different situations because different people receive information differently. So there were nanoparticles in that test. That was there. And we can also release those nanoparticles, right? So again, we get into this fear-based kind of reality around everything in relationship to this whole virus, and there are things that we definitely want to be mindful of and notice, but we also have to go back to this awareness of the vastness of our own being, right? That's why I started this conversation the way I started it, because when we're more tuned into that than we are to the fear of what is taking place, then we have a tendency to be able to mitigate a lot of what is going on there, right? And so, and this isn't a matter of, well, I'm just wishful thinking. I'm just wishful thinking that I can neutralize that. Um, we really want to practice being what we actually are. We really want to practice going into that space, the vastness of our being, the source of our own really experience and existence. It all lies within us, and it all lies within each and every person on this planet. So, so let me first let me reorganize this a little bit as far as what she received in that test. So let's pull that. Hold on a second. Yeah, a lot of that just was got into the tissue. It hadn't gone anywhere up into the yeah, hadn't gone up into the neurological process much, but it had gone down into the throat a little bit. So we're pulling that all back up and out of the sinus and the tissues in the sinus cavity. That's where I'm seeing the bulk of that energy. It's like it was meant to flow in certain places and it didn't. It kind of coagulated um, in the sinuses. So we're going to pull that out and we'll place that in a sphere and blue star it. We'll spin that all out. Yeah, okay. Compress and condense that back into that blue star, and we're going to return that to before it was ever created. Okay, and then let's go, let's all of us on behalf of this person, it's like, yeah, right in the throat. It's interesting. It's having more impact in the throat than it was anywhere else. So let's go right back into our own heart spaces and we'll do this collectively. Feel the vastness of your own being and then broadcast that energy out to her, out through her sinuses, out, oops, sorry about that, out through the throat. So, okay. All right. Is that helpful?
Yeah, she thinks it is. Can I ask you a question?
Sure,
For
please.
all of us moms,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
experienced something really similar to this yesterday. When we get into a fear, whether it's our adult children or our younger children, as moms, we all tend to go into that fear. First reaction, when you, across the board, what do you suggest for us all to do as we are moving into this new energy of nanoparticles? I mean, we just watched this, and I think these children also come with some abilities to kind of stop it in its tracks in a way. I mean,
Yeah,
just watching that situation, she can't let it go where it was intended to go. She didn't allow it.
right.
As a mom,
Okay.
how can
So,
we come into that space of holding their capability?
right. So, there, this is kind of a multi-layered question, and kind of in some ways, each person really needs to answer this one for themselves. But what I will say is when you have a strong sense that something should not happen for your child, regardless, no matter who's telling you otherwise, as the parent of that child, please believe yourself. Please listen to you, right? So And in that way, in those moments, you're going to be making the choices and the decisions that feel right in that moment, right? And so, and this is where it's a little tenuous, I got to say, because again, we can, if we understand that our energetic field can change anything and everything, right? I mean, we're quite capable of altering just about anything. When we literally are in that field, we typically don't fear, nor do we draw to us those experiences. Like they just kind of don't show up in our, they're not a match for our reality. So if they do show up in your experience, then have the conversations, take the actions that you feel that are necessary to take. It's, you see what I'm saying? It's like the energetics, if you know in your heart of hearts, say, you know, your child gets a test, right? And you know in your heart of hearts that that test, it's no big deal, it can be unwound, right? Then it's no big deal, it can be unwound. But if that test is there, or that vaccination is there, or something is there, and you don't have that belief system solid within you, then before you have the test or before you have the vaccine, that's a good place to say we're not doing that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I can give an example. I mean, after I when I first started working with Riley, and he was telling me about vaccines and all this other stuff, and this was back before doctors were, I mean, before there was a lot of information about vaccines and autism and things like that. And I just remember, you know, I had four little girls at the time, and my youngest daughter was two. And as soon as I started hearing that, I'm like, I'm not vaccinating her anymore. Right. I didn't have the energetic awareness yet to know that something could be reversed or changed or altered. But I did know that I could say no to something that I didn't want to. And it was very challenging. We all know, you know, it's challenging to go into the doctor's office for a well baby visit and them say, oh, it's time for a vaccine. And you say, no, you know, it's like, not doing that. So I guess what I'm saying is each person has to kind of monitor where they are, you know, because at the end of the day, it's our own response. It's our own responsibility to kind of check in and kind of go, do I believe this? And if I believe this, great. And if I don't, what action am I going to take? Yeah. Yeah, but that's an internal. Is that helpful? I know it's unfortunately it's not a cookie cutter, because different people are in different places in their experience and in their awareness. And so again, first check in and see, what do I really believe about this? And play it out. Okay, he goes and he gets the vaccine because he has to for work, you know, or he has to for school or whatever. Play that out and watch that. Notice how that feels. And then come back to yourself again and watch it not happen. Watch him not get it. How's that feel? You know, and then make the choice. But what I will say is because of where we are in collective human history right now, the idea that it's just going to all be energetic, I think, is a fallacy. I think the fact that it's all going to be done on an energetic level, there are going to be moments when people have to take a stand. Yep. There are going to be those moments that people just have to take a stand. And it'll be much easier to take that stand when you know who you are internally. Yeah. 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 I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Okay, next question is a lot of monthly calls. I just think my children, 17 and 19-year-olds, would benefit from hearing them, but they are not interested. I might talk about it, but I don't push listening to them themselves.
Mhm.
Can you talk on it if I just get it, and will the kids get it? So she hears it, and then will they get it?
Right, right. So again, um, even with our own children, and I know right now we all want our children to be as aware as they can be and to be as connected to who they really are as we can, as they can. But we have to understand that that energy always first takes place within us. So we do more, we're of more support both to our children and to humanity as at large by being as fully present here ourselves as we can. So we have to understand that as we're more present here, as we're more connected to that space, that vastness that we connected to, at the beginning of this call, we're sending out a signal. We're that signal is reverberating out from us. And that signal is an invitation to to do the same, to expand, but we don't know how anybody else, even our own children, are designed to expand. So if we'll stay present with ourselves, we'll create that field of energy. And that field of energy, in and of itself, is an invitation. I don't know about you guys, but I know when I was a teenager, even in my 20s, my 30s, probably even in my 40s and 50s, somebody would tell me what to do and I'd kind of go, yeah, no, I'm not doing that just on principle alone. So there's that push against. But let's not underestimate the power of what any sovereign being is, right? Whatever every sovereign being puts out a particular frequency. And if we see it like that, we'll kind of be able to know that our kids are in really good hands, even if they're not living in our households. I broadcast energy out to my own kids all the time. And then they come back, they call me back, and they will say something that I would not expect them to say. This is a capacity that we each have. We're all interconnected, and especially when we're connected by DNA. Yeah. So I hope that's helpful. Don't push them. Let me see if there's anything else that needs to be shared, or if anybody else has something that they still want to ask. Go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll talk for a minute, and then we'll pick that up. Yeah. So one of the things I do want to share in general, again, is, with so much transformation going on and so much challenge, people completely out of their routines. As your children see you going inward, as your children see you becoming still and using this time to um, to really kind of get to know yourself, to get to know where you are, what's showing up for you. Your children are going to learn an amazing skill set, and they're going to learn it not because you tell them to do it, but because you're modeling it. And that amazing skill set is going inward to find your answers, right? Instead of trying to find them out and about. I think one of the greatest gifts we can give our kids is to really ask them to find the answer instead of just giving it to them. Because their way of moving through the world is going to be unique and different. And quite honestly, they don't have some of the same needs um, that maybe the generation before them has. Yeah. So we're going to trust them, and we're going to enhance their trust of themselves by modeling going inside to find our answers. you know yeah, I hope that's helpful. Yeah, I think especially right now, it's asking our kids, not what do they think, but how does it feel. Because those little different words point to a different reference system within us. How does something feel is met with is met in a different way than what do you think about this? And you can feel it. If I say, what do you think about this? All the energy goes up in your head and you're trying to figure it out. If I ask, how does it feel? You're going to drop down into your physical body a little bit and you're going to at least start noticing that. Sorry about the background noise. Okay. Do we have more questions, Sharon?
Yes, one just came through. Let's see.
Okay.
My okay. My daughter has been making a lot of sounds over the past several months. I find that I feel irritated sometimes with the sounds. I want to give her space to make the sounds, but not sure what to do with my irritation. Also, she has been carrying around a book about global warming for several months, literally all the time, hugging it, looking at it, reading it, etc. Any input?
Yes. All right. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so sorry, I'm just getting her here. Okay, so first things first, a lot of there's been hearing this a lot actually lately. There's a lot more sounds, a lot more noises, a lot more repetitive patterns, a lot more repetitive kind of behaviors going on for a lot of the kids right now. And so again, we have a tendency to push away from that energy. And so when we hear something and it's an irritant, especially, number one, we can't blame ourselves for being irritated. That's just what's coming up, right? So we don't create a story about why I'm irritated or how bad of a parent I am because I'm irritated or any of that. That's that won't help the situation in any way, shape, or form. So, but what we can do is let's pay attention when those sounds start coming. Where are you feeling it in your body? Yep. Is it actually maybe a part of your body that is irritated by it, or is it one of your own inner children that is irritated by it? Yep. And whatever it is, then we want to go back to that part of the body or that inner child, and we want to know what that inner child has to say. We want to actually meet our own inner child and hear what it has to say, right? Because a lot of times what's happening right now especially is many of our children, typically because they're either home much more than they used to be, and or they're agitated and irritated themselves with all the energy that they're picking up, they're they're deepening into some of their patterns, and as they deepen into some of their patterns, they're going to ignite some of yours. They're going to let you see or reveal some of yours. That makes sense? So let's just use it as an opportunity to kind of go inside. Okay, it's like, oh, I can't, it's like sometimes like it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like it's like, it's like I can't stand that sound, or that's really irritating, or it's frustrating. Such she's just smiling. You think it's funny, don't you? Yeah, which I love. Oh my god. So yeah, so there it is. Right? It's like so cute. Um, so there's that sound, and again, and it literally, I mean, pay attention. Is it up the back of your neck that gets irritated? Is it lower in your body? Is it your heart? What's actually happening when that sound irritates? And it could very literally be that an organ, a system, some part of your body is irritated, but it could equally be that there's some little girl inside of you who is irritated by that. And we want to talk to her. We want to engage her. Yep, because when we start to engage her and we find out what that actually is and we meet her need, then all of a sudden, usually the child that's making the sound doesn't need to make it anymore, because the only reason she was making it was to kind of get a little bit deeper into something that maybe hadn't been met yet. Yeah, yeah. Did I answer all of that? Was there more?
Her global warming book.
Oh yeah, global warming book. Well, that might be the irritation. Oh, there you go. That's great. Okay, so again, well, we might just have to ask her because um so I guess my question's, there a fear in that? Is there a fear in the global warming, or is there an awareness in the global warming? Right? Is it in your mind true, or is it in your mind there you go, or is it in your mind a little bit of a coercion technique, so I guess my question is just that. Yeah. So, and okay, all right. I don't know how comfortable you feel, but do you have anything she wanted to say about it, or if not, I'll just do it telepathically. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Okay. She answered my question right there. Okay. All right. So when I look at the global warming book, and please by all means check this with her afterwards. Don't take my word for it. But I think she's handed it over to me just a second ago when she walked away. So hmm. What I notice is I notice her holding the energy of that topic, whether that topic is true for her or not for her. Holding that as she's holding a balance point around that particular topic, or attempting to hold a balance point around that particular topic. A lot of times the kids will get fixated on one topic or another, and we think it's just for the mental awareness or the mental knowledge or the interest in it. But we also have to step back and look at it from an energetic perspective. Why is her topic global warming and another kid's topic is space, or something else, right? So there's an energetic, I literally see her and hear her holding a space for that topic. Yep. Just like she holds the book in her hand in the physical world, she energetically holds a space for that topic to find balance. Yep, to find balance. So if we just see it from that perspective, she's carrying it around with her. She's interested in it. She's holding a space for that topic. Every now and again I would ask her, how does that topic feel? How's global warming going? How's it panning out? Is it, is there something that we need to know about it? Something that I can put my energy into around that and be of support, or not, but that's where I would go with it, because she just looks like she's holding a space for holding an awareness. And I think that is separate, just as a side note. Yeah, I think that's separate from the sound irritation. Yeah, I think that they're two different experiences. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope that's helpful. I love when she just stands up like, yep, nope, I'm not going to answer this question. Take it away. Yeah.
So on a dovetail with that, another mom is saying her child's topic is Harry Potter. So
Mhm.
fictional characters, what
Mhm.
does that mean?
Yeah, let's take it literally. The wizarding world of Harry Potter, right? It's like we've got skill sets that as a humanity that we don't even know we have. We're whether you want to call that the magician or the wizard or I mean, those books didn't capture the imagination of a whole generation of children for no reason. We've got a whole generation of children that knows what we're trying to move back to. They know that we're trying to move back to the magician within us, right? We've all been we've all been on this planet for how many ever times we've been on this planet, and every time we were born into it, we pretty much had to use the warrior. It's like one way or another, and especially if we were going to stay awake and aware, we were usually the black sheep one, because we were going to fan the flame of our own inner awareness. We weren't going to let that die. And there's that warrior that comes out and says, and now with everything breaking up, in that, let's say, slave-based reality out there, we can now sit back a little bit more. We don't have to use the warrior as much. We can invite the wizard. We can invite the magician to come forward. And this is a really kind of tenuous time right now, and it goes back to what I was talking about, vaccines and tests and things like that. Sometimes the magician can come in and alter whatever it wants to alter, and sometimes the warrior still needs to come through and take a stand, and we just need to call forth the one that we need in that moment. And maybe we don't know what we need in the moment. Maybe we just say, hey, I know I have both. Most people, I mean, I know in my own case, as I was going through my own integration process, I mean, my magical child, she was a magician. She did all kinds of crazy stuff, right? As a little one. But then she forgot the magician. The magician kind of got put on the back burner, and this warrior came out. It's going to protect that magician at all cost. And so again, let's just ask ourselves in any given moment, can the magician come to the surface at this moment, or do I need the warrior? Right? Yeah. But I think that's why, I mean, the wizarding world of Harry Potter, it's like that's we're all magicians. We're all magicians. And it's just such a great reminder. Yeah. Our children know it too, or those books would have just been just another series. They spoke to they spoke to the children inside of us as well, that just I remember I was a magician. So, and I remember I was put under the stairs and the door locked and treated like whatever, right? So again, it's like the whole thing is this dynamic between what we actually are and what we've endured or what we've been through in order to hold steady, hold firm with what we actually are. Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to go back and listen to this one because I didn't know the answer to that question until the magician popped it out. So yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm going to put two questions together because they're kind of related. So two moms are asking about, they know that their children are sovereign beings, but as that mom, that mama bear, we want to come in and take over and want to control the outcomes.
Mhm.
So whether they're in a group home with Way or and having Way issues or whatever, or and this other one is allowing her Down syndrome child to conduct her own teaching lessons, which are big triggers of letting go and allowing the
Right. Yeah,
the
yeah, 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 absolutely. And let's be clear, it doesn't get any trickier in non-attachment than when we're talking about our children. It's like it's we all like the idea that our children come through us but are not of us. But when it comes right down to it, it's a tricky, dynamic. So one of the things that I want to say is, first and foremost, when before you take any action on anything for any child, there already is a trigger within you, right? So your daughter is in a group home and she's gaining weight, and that creates some kind of inner conflict in you, right? Inner, you might be afraid, you might be whatever. But before we ever take a stand, or before we ever contact anybody or anything like that, let's turn that energy back in and say, what is this bringing up for me? Right? What is it bringing up for me? Do I feel vulnerable because she's there and she's just gaining weight? Is something coming up for me around weight, around, around actually physically gaining weight? Is there a fear that she feels lonely or not taken care of? Let's pay attention to what's actually coming up for us in those situations. Because first and foremost, when we address that, then we can respond to the experience instead of react to it. Yeah. So our worlds, including our children, are all beautifully designed to help us integrate, to help us be present to all of these different parts of ourselves that have never been met. So your outer children are always going to trigger your inner children, right? So, and it doesn't matter what the diagnosis or the condition or the, right, it's still your child, and your child is going to trigger your inner children. So let's use it for that purpose first, because there's so much self-awareness in that. And what I've watched more often than I can count at this point is when we pay attention to what it brings up for us, and we meet that part of our own inner children that need to be met. And I'll give you an example here in a minute so we know exactly what that looks like. Then one of two things happens. Either whatever that behavior is that's being projected, that doesn't need to happen anymore because we got the message, right? Or if we're going to take a stand or we're going to say something, we do so from a place of response versus reaction. And when we take a stand from a place of response, it's always more powerful than from reaction. Yep. Reaction is always when the little child within us still hasn't had her need met. And so she's going to yell at somebody else about it. Yeah. Response is, you get this taken care of right now because my child's not being cared for, and she will be cared for in this manner. Right? That's coming from a whole different place within us. And we want to make sure that we take care of the inner child first so that that response can be there. Yeah. Yeah. So just as an example, so um, over Christmas, I walked in and my daughter was talking to somebody on the phone. And what was coming out of the mouth of the person on the phone was to me was just a very crass, harsh. Uh, I kind of was shocked by the statement that I was hearing. And then I realized that the person who was speaking, if you were talking about some 20-year-old saying something like that, okay, they have their moments, right? But that wasn't the case. In this case, it was the mother of her friend who was actually the voice on the phone saying this. And when I knew that it was a parent articulating in this way, I was definitely shocked. So I backed myself out of the room, shut the door, and my daughter already knew that something was going on. But when I backed out of the room, I just went back into myself, right? I went back into myself. I was like, okay, I'm in shock. My heart hurts. I'm I'm disgusted by the fact that a parent would say something so harsh about something that's so private for her daughter. And all of a sudden, all of this memory starts coming up of the same thing happening to me as a little kid. Right? I had completely blocked it out. I mean, didn't even know it. I mean, didn't think about it. But the minute I backed up and went, okay, what's going on here? What do I feel? Where do I feel it? Right? And I just started asking, it's like, okay, what inner child is having this experience? Right? And it was an inner child that was about 14, 15 years old. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and I literally just put her out in front of me for a second. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That was harsh. That was that was disrespectful. You shouldn't have had to heard that. Right? As I comforted her, then all of a sudden the symptomology started to release. There was the symptomology just started to release. My heart relaxed again, my throat opened up again, right? I wasn't kind of shaken by it. And then later, when my daughter said, Mom, I'm so sorry that you heard that. I didn't, I could tell by your face that you were, really shocked by that statement. And that's just the way this mother is. And I just said to her, I said, what I want to say is no parent should speak to their child or about their child in the way that that parent did. I can't condone that. You can continue to be friends. You can do whatever you want to do. I can't condone that kind of behavior. Turned around and walked away. Right. And just gave her the opportunity to have a conversation with herself about it. But again, if I don't go back first and take care of me, take care of that child in me that's having that experience, I have no way of having a response to that. Right. I just act out of the child. Yeah. But when you act from response, when you take care of you first, then those kinds of other experiences can get they can get rectified. They can change, you know? And sometimes I've seen them change. Very often I've seen them change without even needing to say anything. It's like I just got to the place inside myself that was feeling that. And that's why with sounds, with behaviors, with whatever it is, first you, what is it bringing up? Yeah, yeah. And talk to her. Because this whole idea of inner children, people go, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's like they like they think about it, but they don't really understand that we're made up of a totality. We're made up of multiple aspects, multiple beings exist within the totality of our being. And a lot of those inner children are the ones that were traumatized by some kind of, the slave reality that we were born into. And so we just want to have a conversation with them from our adult selves. We want to parent those inner children first and then take care of our outer children. Yeah. You're really doing one and the same, honestly. Yeah. By taking care of your inner children, you are taking care of your outer children. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. What else?
That is it. We have 9 minutes. So,
All right. Cool. All right. So I'm just going to check in with everybody and just see if there's anything else to fine tune here. And then we'll go from there. So we're just going to do a little tad of energy work. So anywhere where there is guilt, shame, any of those lower frequency kinds of experiences because we didn't know this before, or where, yeah, whatever, because yeah, we're maybe just hearing this for the first time, and or wondering, for parents wondering what kind of quote unquote damage we've done already because we weren't able to respond versus react. Uh, Null and void. Let's pull it, all of that information and that energy up and out of our fields, and especially out of our emotional body. It just doesn't do anybody any good to add blame or shame, right? So we'll pull that all up and put that in a sphere out in front of us, and we'll blue star that, and just let's bring in the magician. Just spin out past shame, past blame, past hurt, past irritation, past frustration, knowing that it all just belonged to the inner children that didn't have their needs met. You can't blame physical children for being upset when their needs aren't met. We can't blame our inner children for that either. So let's spin all that information out to clear. We'll compress and condense that back into that blue star. And we're going to take that blue star and we're going to drop it right into the center of our heart space. And we're going to restructure our hearts so that they actually benefit our inner children. We're not going to make ourselves bad or wrong. Yep, for just feeling what we feel. It's all valid. Yep. We'll implode that into billions of frequencies of light. It's all real, it's all valid. We just want the opportunity to meet that experience within ourselves instead of just shove it back into some box somewhere, only to come up again some other time. Say, are you ready for me yet? So, yeah, okay. All right, I hope that was helpful, everybody. Yeah, all right. Lots of love, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye. Lots of love.